Those of you who are admins for the Content Experience Cloud may have got your maintenance notification emails already. So we wanted to give you a quick overview of the new features you can expect to see in this update that's coming. My name is Mark Patterson. I have with me Igor Polyakov. So between the two of us, we'll cover both the content and the experience side of the house. Just a reminder, what we're talking about hasn't officially, the update hasn't gone officially through yet, so safe harbor statement applies. We'll talk a little bit about roadmap at the end as well, an update on some of the features that should come in updates over the summer. So there again, until they've officially been released, the safe harbor statement applies. So everybody take a couple seconds to review our safe harbor statement. There we go. So we'll start with a quick recap of the update that went through in April. We know that not everybody can join each and every one of these pre-release webcasts. So we'll do a quick recap of what was in the April release. And then we'll talk about what's coming in the upcoming release. We'll do a short demo. And as I mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about roadmap, some of the items you can expect to see in some subsequent updates. So let's start with quickly what happened in April. The huge, big feature was the new digital asset management capabilities, which were added to both mobile and also to through the web and to the mobile app, making it really easy to collect all the digital assets you want to use into collections, being able to contribute directly from mobile, being able to share those collections in the same way you would share folders, introducing the ability to tag your assets. So this is a animal, this is a mammal, this is a cow, whatever kind of way you want to tag things. And adding basic workflows so that you could sort of have people review your assets and then approve or reject them, and then be able to publish based on those approval statuses. So a huge leap forward in terms of digital asset management. And of course, we made it available all within the site builder. So all those digital assets that you're now approving, we've made it so that you can easily pick those approved assets when you're building your site and drag and drop those approved assets, drag and drop approved content items into your sites. And that included new components for, putting structured content into your sites, having lists of structured content. You could use that like a list of all your latest blog articles or, that sort of thing. In terms of the actual structured content and in terms of channels and the way in which that works, I'm going to hand off to Igor to talk about some of what we did in April on that side. Igor, do you want to take over?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Mark. The key, really, the feature is that in the April release, we enabled kind of creating content models and then managing editorial content based on these content models, kind of content types that you created. In the content items, as Mark pointed out, you can use images that you can manage in our digital assets kind of area. The key point in our case is that editorial content, including images, is published and made available through our kind of a content delivery API for consumption kind of in our site builder. So that makes really site builder enhancement in the site builder to allow you using what is known as a structured content. Basically, you can manage content separately from the site itself. So update content on the site pages, publish this content without really republishing, relaunching the site. There is a lot of capabilities that we added in this release with the publishing content to like the multiple channels, with site being one of the channels. So Mark, next slide, please. We are kind of talking at the abilities of reusing layouts, build custom layouts, and so on. And you can reuse the content and layouts on mobile applications as well that you can build with, for example, mobile application accelerator tool. Yeah, this actually could have stayed on this next slide.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Over to you.
Some of the other things we did, we picked up our new mobile apps. We made a bunch of improvements from a messaging perspective. We've been continuously adding to our messaging capabilities, making it easier to send direct messages to people, making it easier to communicate about files, about folders, about your projects directly from mobile app. And we made a lot of enhancements to the conversation area. So if you pick up the new mobile app and try the new conversation viewer, somebody had flagged you, we made it easier to find the flag. If you've got unread messages, if you've got a big, long conversation, sometimes that unread message is somewhere up near the top. So we've made it far easier with a new find bar where you can sort of easily find all your unread messages, find where you've been flagged, or even do basic searches if you said, I know Tim posted something about the new financial records. Where is that? So you could type in financials and it'll take you to that message. And we also sort of added some new improvements with regards to push notifications. If you get notified about every single update that goes into every single conversation, you might start treating it a bit like noise. So we made it so that you can sort of favorite your conversations and just be notified about those. So just get push notifications about the conversations you really care the most about, so that when your phone beeps, you know it's important, you know, go to take a look. You can go and answer a question that's being sent to you by your boss or your manager or whomever. From a desktop perspective, if you picked up the new sync client, one thing is that the new digital asset capability we introduced, which I mentioned earlier. The easiest way to contribute assets, of course, is from your desktop. So as part of the digital asset management capability, everybody gets a new digital assets folder. And you can sync that down to your desktop, and then it becomes real easy to, somebody sending, a digital agency sends you a zip file with all your new assets for a new campaign, drag and drop, sync, you're done, uploaded. And then you can start adding them to your collections and start triggering the approval workflows we talked about earlier. So that's a nice capability that's in the new desktop client. And just some usability things across Windows and Mac. We made the behavior, especially on Mac, for those of you who are on Mac, we really made the experience on Mac, the model follow sort of the Mac application model, made it so you can dock it properly, made it so that it interacted sort of the way Mac applications are expected to. So hopefully people found that useful. From a development perspective, for a lot of you who are doing, building custom solutions and using our development platform, we got a lot of requests for changes to the existing APIs or requests for new APIs. So there's new metadata search capabilities. So say you want to enter a query text and say, find everything where city equals Montreal. We've made that possible through the REST APIs. We enhanced the social APIs. We made it so that you could, within the web UI, you've probably noticed you can have there's a conversation that's created for every folder and every file that you can it's just there and you can start it. Well, what if you wanted to be able to assign a conversation to a file or folder programmatically through the APIs? Although we allowed you to create a brand new standalone conversation, it wasn't really easy to go from file to conversation, conversation to file, backwards and forwards. So the new API social enhancements allow you to interact with conversations and programmatically create conversations on file and folder objects. Small change to sort of the user API. So when you got a user, a lot of people wanted to have the login ID, which in a lot of instances is just the email address, rather than getting this big long GUID and then having to then go fetch again and find out what the login ID is. So it's there right from the start now. And the other interesting thing we did from a REST API perspective is we introduced a new proxy service. The proxy service, basically it's there for you want to make calls to a set of APIs that aren't CORS compliant, and you start running into cross-site scripting issues. What the proxy service does, it allows you at our admin level to define an endpoint and say, okay, this service is over there. These are the get and post. These are the different objects and APIs that it supports. And then what you can do within, your custom actions or within your site through JavaScript, you can make a call basically to the proxy service, so everything's staying within the same domain, you don't have any CORS issues, and then the proxy service is just redirecting your call to the actual service you're trying to call. So that's sort of a workaround for some of you trying to build custom services where you're trying to interact with third-party APIs that aren't providing you sort of the CORS capability that is required. And the last thing I think we talked about last time around is a brand new integration. The BI Publisher team has delivered on a new delivery method. So you can set up your jobs. You can set up bursting jobs. So for example, you've got a third party that's sending you payroll data, and then you set up a bursting job that processes the payroll data and creates all the pay stubs for all your employees, and maybe it then emails out to each employee the pay stub. Well, one of the other delivery methods they have is called repository, where you can basically take the generated report and store it somewhere. So what they've done is they've added the Content and Experience Cloud. So you can imagine each employee's pay stub going into an HR folder for each employee, for example. If you're interested, maybe you could build an intranet portal using the Sites Cloud service where the employee logs in and can access that folder. So there's a lot of interesting variations there that you could consider. But the main thing is we now out-of-the-box target in the BI Publisher, so you can send any kind of report to us. So that sort of covers April. I think what most people are interested in is, that's great, what's coming. A lot of cool stuff coming on the experience side of the house. So Igor, I'll hand off to you. You can talk about the experience features first.
Okay.
There is a question. You want to answer a question now, Mark, or you want to wait at the end?
No, I'm fine with answering questions whenever you feel is appropriate. If you're monitoring it, I don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one which is, are there any demo of BI Publisher working with CEC?
Is there a demo of the BI Publisher working, sorry?
With CEC, with Content and Experience.
Yes, the BI, we don't have like there's an instance where there's a video of the integration that we could share with people. We can get into, probably post it to YouTube. There's an environment where that was done. So if we want to follow up offline, there is an environment where there is a demo of that we could show. Okay, Igor.
Okay, thank you, Mark. In the June release, we really, after the April release, we continued with making and investing in the improvements of our content delivery API, and we added a number of capabilities there, such as kind of a caching framework, etc., to facilitate kind of a performance of content delivery. You also will find that in April release, you will be able to use in content filters, for example, in the content list component that you have in the site builder, you will be able to use kind of consistently published or latest available version of digital assets. As well as if you'll take a look at the content editor or content type editor, you will notice that we made a few changes, actually quite a few changes there to improve overall user experience. Next slide, please. So Another important feature that we added in the site builder is in the area of search engine SEO area, and really we give you an opportunity to, for example, add such simple things as favorite icons to your site, or add sitemap .xml site to facilitate indexing of your site in, for example, Google or other search engines, as well as the ability to add files that are required to validate your site with Google search, for example, or Google Analytics. The real powerful feature, though, that we now enable you to do is the ability to use custom controller .html file. This is really the file that gets kind of loaded in the browser first before site is being built, which allows you to use, for example, such simple things as set up metadata values for your site, for example, open graph that are required by Facebook, and so on. Or do some other kind of interesting redirects, like, for example, post SSO redirects if you have a secure site and you want to preserve the vanity URL on the site, and so on. It is very kind of a powerful feature that you will be able to use to really enhance sites that you are building with our tool. Next slide, please. Other changes that we made, there are in the areas of improving components, our seeded components that we made available in the site builder palette. A few enhancements in the process components, and specifically start form component. So now we allow you to select, for those who know kind of process cloud service, you are familiar with partitions like development or production partition that you can use while deploying your processes. So now we allow you to select processes deployed to the, say, development partition for testing. And then we also added support for multiple stat forms that are available, or might be available rather, in the process. Again, that allows you to be very flexible in adding process start forms to site pages. Next slide, please. And another area that you will notice that we actually made a number of changes in the way how kind of file picker works in the site builder. First of all, the user experience with the site builder is consistent across all the components. So you will notice that the way how file picker looks in various components is the same, depending though on the component category. And we have two component categories, which is kind of broadly called, one category called documents and another called media. And we use defaults that are more suitable for components in each category. For example, for documents component, by default, we show you a list view. However, if it is a kind of an image component, which falls into media category, we show you by default grid view list in the file picker. We also added such simple like things, but that dramatically improves user experience. Things such as we remember last open folder in the file picker, so that when you open file picker, kind of next time you are in the same folder, kind of go back home, navigate home rather button in the file picker, again, that allows you to easily get to your home folder in the file picker. File pickers also remember your default settings. So for example, if you select in the file picker grid view for documents, then all components in the documents category will have this default settings kind of remembered. And there is a kind of a number of other kind of user experience enhancements which we made in the product. So hopefully you will like those changes, and they will make your experience kind of better. Next slide, please. Another area that we worked for our components is on the integration with the Developer Cloud Service. Developer Cloud Service is the Oracle product that allows you to manage DevOps lifecycle in the cloud. It has a variety of tools that allow you to build, test, deploy code in the cloud. And we really provided integration that with the Developer Cloud Service that allows you to leverage it for developing components for Sites Cloud Service, testing them on Developer Cloud Service. We basically provided a Node.js based test harness for components, so you can test your components on the Developer Cloud Service, and then deploy once you are ready, your component is ready and was tested, deploy directly to the Content Cloud tenant instance that you are using. So all that really done through the scripts that you can leverage. So if you want somewhere else, so if you, for example, prefer to use some other tools rather than Developer Cloud Service, you can simply copy, if you wish, the scripts that we are using, and then Maven scripts, for example, that we are using, and then basically deploy them somewhere else. So overall, this is the first step that we are making to facilitate kind of and help developing various components or various elements such as templates or themes or whatnot for all layouts for the content delivery. So I think that you will find this kind of enhancements and this integration useful, especially if you are developing custom components. Next slide, please. And this is actually over to you, Mark.
Yep. So now we'll talk a little bit about some of the Content Experience Cloud client improvements. We'll start with the mobile apps. The big thing you'll see in the new update that's coming in the mobile apps is tagging support. I talked earlier about how in the April release we introduced tagging. It wasn't actually available in the mobile apps, though, so you couldn't actually see the tags from your iPad or from your Android smartphone. And when you think about it, your mobile device is really a great tool for contributing digital assets. I mean, open up your Photos app and how much space is taking with photos and videos on your phone. So if you're contributing and you're uploading assets into a collection from your mobile app, at the time that you're doing the upload, you're going to want to be able to tag things like, okay, these are all pictures of animals from the zoo, this is an otter, whatever. So we've made it so that you can now view and edit your tags everywhere, within collections, within folders, on any file. And most importantly, we've added to the sort of the upload flow. As you're uploading things into the cloud, you can tag things, and it applies to all of them. So you can go and find all the pictures you took at the zoo and tag them as you're uploading them. The other thing we did, which isn't mentioned here, but once you've uploaded the assets, if you want to take assets and move them around into different collections, the mobile app, it was sort of a single select thing. You could pick a file and say, I want to move that to the Acme campaign collection. We've added multi-select support, so you can, long tap, pick 12 assets and move them all into a collection in one go, or move them around or delete them. So multi-select support's also been there. So really sort of finishing the job we started to make digital asset management from your mobile device really easy and really simple. Desktop side, we continue to work on performance, and we continue to work on what we call better problem solving. An example is you're in the process of editing a PowerPoint, and one of your other colleagues has made a change while you're editing, while you have it open, and you'll see a sync problem pop up. It wants to tell you, oh, be careful, you're looking at something that someone else has just edited it. Of course, as soon as you close PowerPoint, the problem goes away. So there's a lot of problems like that where we're just sort of, we're just a little too vocal, I guess. Our problem handling was a little too vocal. We told everybody about everything, even things that we could solve on our own or we could retry in 5 minutes and solve. So what we've done is a full optimization of the way in which we treat synchronization problems. And there's about 95% of the problems that the different types of problems that we currently will bring up in our problems dialog, that there's an actual way of sort of automatically resolving it, or at least attempting to automatically resolve it. So what we've done is we've optimized our problem handling. So what you should see with this new desktop synchronization client is that little problems icon that tends to show up and then disappear. You'll see a lot less of that. And if you do see the problems icon show up, then you really should go take a look. After you've installed sort of this new update, if you do see a problem icon, it's probably going to be a real problem. Hey, you've made changes, I can't sync this, your colleague already made changes, you need to either merge your changes or drop your changes or something. So basically, we're only going to tell you about problems that are really things you need to address right away. And a lot of the other problems that could sort of solve themselves eventually, we're sort of a little quieter about now, unless they persist. You know, if there's something we keep retrying and then it just won't fix itself, then we'll start reporting it to you. But hopefully this will sort of make things a little more, from a usability perspective, when you see a problem now, you'll know that it's something you really need to deal with. In the web UI, you're going to see brand new HTML5 based previews, PowerPoints, Word files. You probably saw in one of our earlier updates that the old Excel preview was greatly enhanced such that Excel's file started actually looking like spreadsheets. And that was actually based on us picking up a new HTML5 based way of previewing Excel files. And what we've done is that's now available for all our file types. And annotations now are built on top of those HTML5 annotations. What this means is you can do things like links are live. So if you've got, like for example, there's a link right here. Well, if you click on that, it'll actually work like a link because it's a live link. It's not an image-based preview. If this was an Excel file, you could actually pick a particular cell and say, I can comment on that particular cell. Whereas with the old annotations, they were all sort of location-based. So there's a lot about the HTML preview from a fidelity perspective that helps, but also just from the fact that the document is now live. And it allows you to cut and paste paragraphs. You know, if there's something that you liked, oh, let me cut and paste that. It was probably pretty frustrating with the old image-based preview that you couldn't actually do that. So the live nature of the previews, I think people will really find that they like. Something you'll see across all the clients is we've optimized the type-ahead logic when you're sharing a folder with somebody or you're adding someone to a conversation. In this example, I've typed in Josh, and Joshua Baker's up near the top. Some of you with large, instances with a large user base may have noticed in the past you might have typed in Josh, and for some reason Joshua Baker was like number 15 in the list. Basically, the fuzzy logic that we're using to try and figure out all the different people you might possibly looking for got a little carried away, and basically the most obvious answer, the one that was an exact match for some reason didn't show up in the top, but would show up somewhere lower down in the list. So I think what you'll find now is whether you're right-clicking on a folder on your desktop, whether you're doing this from mobile or through the web, when you start inviting people to folders, when you start inviting people to conversations, you'll find the accuracy of who you're looking for to be a little more accurate now. We've basically optimized the fuzzy logic and made it so exact matches are always up near the top. It still will go and find other people that perhaps aren't quite an exact match, but maybe are the people you were thinking about. But the way in which the results are presented to you, hopefully you'll find optimized. On the admin side, for the administrators out there who are worried about your employees that lose your mobile devices, we've always supported, from the preferences area, a user could see a full list of desktop and mobile devices that they have connected with, and you could actually pick a laptop or you could pick your iPhone and you could revoke access. And if somebody were to pick up your iPhone and try to connect to our app, it would immediately wipe all your local cached files. It would disconnect you from that account. Even on desktop that works. On your laptop it'll do that. It'll unlink your account. It'll start syncing it'll start wiping out all the locally synced content. But only the user could do that. So if the user's on the road, calls up his admin, I lost my iPhone, now the admin can do it. So basically there's always been an area in the preference area where you can search for a user, for example, and increase their quota. Well, in that same area now, you can see a list of devices for that user, and the administrator can do the revoking for you. So a little more secure, a little more easy to quickly turn around and make sure that stolen iPhone isn't used to, I mean, your stolen iPhone, hopefully you're all using passcode protection and, you know, all the content on the device already encrypted. We use passcode protection, but, you know, this is just an added capability, so now the admin can help you make sure no one's doing anything nefarious with your stolen iPhone. One small change in the REST API, there's a bunch more stuff coming, but we have a partner working on a solution where they need to know whether or not a public link that's been sent out has been used. And of course, if you look in the access history, you can see that, oh, somebody's viewed this file, but programmatically there was no real way of determining that. So what we've done now is you can actually fetch the access history for a file. So you've set up some sort of custom integration where, I don't know, you send out a purchase order to a supplier and you want to have some sort of auto acknowledgement to know whether or not the supplier has reviewed the invoice. This new API can let you fetch the access history so you can double check whether or not, hey, did the public link get used? So that kind of scenario is now possible. From an integration point of view, we mentioned the BI integration. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We're constantly working with different organizations within Oracle to provide new out-of-the-box integrations with the Content and Experience Cloud. And one we're super excited about is JD Edwards. End of April, JD Edwards announced a new JD Edwards Tools release. That release has built into it out-of-the-box support for using Content and Experience Cloud as the back end for your attachments. So you can now have a merged list of attachments on any transaction. And what's nice about JD Edwards and the way their tools work, they do it once in tools, and then it's available everywhere in JD Edwards. So any kind of transaction, like we like to talk about invoices and purchase orders because those are easy to talk about, but literally any kind of transaction where their attachment manager shows up, there's now a cloud attachment icon, and you can have a unified list of stuff that's been attached natively, maybe in the past, and stuff that's been attached via the cloud, and they've got different icons so you can tell whether it's stored in the cloud or not. And you can use our previewer, it's using our embedded UI. And beyond that, they've also added support for conversations. So you're working on an invoice, you've got a question about that invoice, you can start a conversation about that transaction directly within JD Edwards, or even start up standalone conversations directly from within JD Edwards. Maybe you want to start a topic on some new process that you're working on within the finance department. So they've really made strong support of our cloud attachment capabilities, so making it so you can store all your content in the cloud. But the thing I think that a lot of people find really interesting is sort of the social nature of the integration, where they've made it so that you can start conversations about transactions, conversations about files you attach to a transaction. And in fact, I'm going to show you a short demo of this in a second. Another integration that was just released was the Logistics Cloud. This is the Transportation and Global Trades Management team. In actual fact, it's available on-premise as well as in the cloud, known as the logistics cloud. Their new release 6.4.2 comes with an out-of-the-box support also for Content Experience Cloud. They've made it so that anything you upload and attach through their user interface gets stored in the Content and Experience Cloud. In the past, they sort of had the option of out-of-the-box. They sort of will just put it in the native transaction database. But they previously had support for Web Center content. Now they've added the Content and Experience Cloud. So all your transactions, all your attachments on, your shipping documentation for shipping record, or, the documentation that's required to cross the border, that sort of thing. These sort of things that they collect now can be stored directly in the Content and Experience Cloud. Noel, are there any questions before we proceed to the demo that you wanted us to cover?
Yeah, actually, Mark, there were a couple questions. Sorry, Noel. Let me answer a couple questions. Maybe
go. Yeah, because I've seen you answer some of them, yes.
Yeah. So there was one question regarding REST API for creating sites. So we are actually working on adding REST APIs for managing sites in general, and specifically REST API to create site will be available in the next, which is July release. There was also a second question related to the process components about the web forms, PCS kind of a process forms that we support. In fact, we only support new web forms. We do not support legacy forever forms that Process Cloud supports. So that's like the short answer. I don't know. I haven't checked, Noel. Are there any other questions? I think there is, but
yeah, there is. Yeah, there is a great for the name search. And is it now possible to add groups to people to a folder?
Not today. Mark, you can take it.
I was going to say not today, but when we get to the roadmap section, you're going to see the very first slide I show you is groups.
Okay, another one. Where are the metadata values applied in order to expose them to the new HTML files so that they are available to support SEO?
Can you repeat questions? Sorry.
Yeah, that's from Leona. Where are the metadata values applied in order to expose them in the new HTML files so that they are available to support SEO?
There are today you can apply them at the controller.html level. So if you create controller.html, you can add any metadata to the controller. It is HTML file, upload it, and this metadata will apply across the site. Going forward, we actually will allow to use page metadata at page level. So each page will have or you will be able to add custom metadata to every page through the site builder. That option will be available late in the year when we enhance sites with pre-rendering capabilities.
Okay. Another one for desktop. When deleted will end up in trash bin, so mean the deleted files, can we immediately delete the sync assets?
Not quite sure that I follow. I mean, when you delete something on your desktop, it'll end up in your recycle bin, and it can be recovered from there. If you've deleted, it'll also be in your trash if you go to the our web UI, so the cloud-based trash. Or if you delete something in somebody else's folder, the owner of that folder can find it in their trash. But she seems to be specific, or he or she seems to be specifically asking him something about assets, so I wasn't quite clear.
Not quite clear. And, but overall, you guys need to be aware that if you delete file on your desktop that is being synced to the cloud, you technically, as Mark explained, move this file to the trash. So other users with whom this folder might be shared as well might be up for a surprise. So you need to keep this in mind.
I mean, if you delete a top-level folder,
or folder or a file.
If you delete a top-level folder.
Yeah, if I deleted something, Mark, and didn't tell you, you might be asking where the.
I was just explaining, if you delete a top-level folder, that's a soft delete. If you delete something within one of your folders, that's a full delete. I mean, there is a separate action on the desktop if you literally want to get rid of a top-level folder and delete it completely. So there is some protection there, but Igor's right. If I've shared a folder with you and you drill down and then get rid of PowerPoint X, that's for everybody. But the owner of that folder can find it in the trash and can always restore it. It's there.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that answered the question, though. There seemed to be a specific angst there.
It's maybe specific in a certain case. So maybe, Rodney, offline we can discuss about that. For any plan to support docs with ERP Cloud out of the box?
There's some demos. I mean, the ERP Cloud, the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, these different SaaS applications all have sort of an extensibility framework that allow you to sort of extend their UI. We have examples where you can drill down to an opportunity and see a folder for that opportunity where you can put all the I don't know, sales teams working on an RFP. You can drag and drop the Excel file into that folder and have it associated with that opportunity. I know there's some demos out there where they've done something similar with the ERP Cloud where you've got a particular customer in a finance and you can go and see all the finance documentation, financial documentation related to that particular customer, or see all the contracts related to that particular customer and have them all stored in the Content and Experience Cloud. That pattern is actually, if you go to the Oracle Cloud Developer Portal, that pattern is explained, at least for the Sales Cloud. But you can replicate that pattern for the ERP Cloud as far as I know. But no, it's not an out-of-the-box thing where you go to the admin area of ERP and enable it. It's something that you'd have to custom build off of using one of those patterns.
Okay. With the June release, is there now a path to replace Site Studio? I'm not sure.
I suppose it's, well, we probably need to take it offline. I assume this relates to the Web Center Content Site Studio.
I think so, yeah. But
but we really, in order to give answer to this question, I would need to understand the use case because Site Studio is used in various. I don't know. Please follow up with me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I will follow up the question to you. There you go. And copy Rob on this.
Thank you.
Do we have REST API for creating content item?
We do, but it's not public yet. We kind of, where we'll be making it public in one of the next releases.
Igor will cover that.
Are they planned to allow adding or filling in a customer property upon upload from a mobile device?
Sorry, can you say that again, Noel?
Are they planned to allow to add or filling a custom property when you upload from the mobile device?
Properties on upload, Mark.
Oh, yes. setting metadata. It is in the works. I showed you, I explained how you'll be able to tag things, and that's sort of the first. I mean, tagging is just sort of an out-of-the-box default metadata field. So that's sort of the first foray into that. But if you're uploading into a folder that has had some custom property metadata, like a metadata collection assigned to it, being able to set those things on upload is something that we are considering doing. Being able to see that metadata and set that metadata within the mobile apps is something we are working on.
Okay.
Maybe I'll keep going and we'll get back to the question, Noel, because we're
keep going now.
So a lot of times we just sort of show you new features. We thought this time around maybe we'd actually show you a demo of one of the integrations that we've been talking about. It is available through YouTube if anyone's interested. But basically what I want to show you is what the J.D. Edwards team has done. And in here we've got sort of two employees from Dakota Tech, Tanya and Mary. They spend their life in the J.D. Edwards product, and they work with a supplier called John. And we're just going to walk you through sort of a basic problem that happens a lot when you're trying to deal with invoices. So how do people send invoices these days? They still probably do a lot of it by email. So John sends an email to Tanya, and the first thing she notices is there's no purchase order. So she's going to go and create a voucher entry in JD Edwards, which is kind of like a holding bin for invoices that aren't ready to be processed. And what's important is she can type in all the information, and when she brings up the new cloud attachment, the new attachment manager, you'll notice that there's two new icons. There's a social icon and a cloud attachment icon. So rather than attaching this natively, she can now click the cloud attachment. There's a Content and Experience Cloud folder created for that transaction. She can drag and drop. She can use the upload. You can see it's using the embedded Content and Experience Cloud UI directly within JD Edwards. She can review it again. And now we'll sort of take a look at what she can do with conversation. So she's talking to Mary, I'm missing a PO, you deal with John a lot, do you happen to know what this PO is? So she's going to start a conversation. Instead of having this long email thread, right within JD Edwards, she can start a conversation, she can invite Mary. And it doesn't have to be JD Edwards people, she could invite Scott from legal if there's some sort of contract problem that needed to be reviewed, and Scott can just look at it directly in the Content and Experience Cloud. In fact, Tanya could have actually went to the transaction attachment manager and started this conversation right from the invoice if she wanted to. In this case, she's attached it, she's asking a question, she's flagging Mary, and she goes to lunch. And the thing to understand is these aren't special JD Edwards conversations. When she brings up the Content and Experience Cloud mobile app, the conversation shows up there along with all her other conversations, and she can see the answer from Mary saying, sorry, Tanya, I don't know what the purchase order number is. You'll have to talk with John. So even when she's on the go, she's now got this capability. So she comes back, and now what's interesting is now that it's in the cloud, when it was native, there's no way of sharing that with anybody outside of JD Edwards. But since it's attached in the cloud, she can start using the capabilities, the sharing capabilities of the Content Experience Cloud. So she can create a public link. She can give it a name so that she can track its usage. She can give it contributor rights. And she can say, hey, John, can you upload a new copy that's got the purchase order number for me? John gets the email, clicks on the link, and, makes use of the public link. Instead of having to mail attachments backwards and forwards, he can look at it, go, forget it. So he goes and creates a new invoice. And now he's going to, because we gave that public link a contributor role, he can actually do more than just acknowledge that he made a mistake. He can actually fix the problem. He can upload it. Now that transaction in JD Edwards is pointing to this new version that the supplier has updated, right? So it's all live. So he replies back to Tanya and apologizes and says, hey, you've got that new version. And now basically Tanya can fix the voucher. She can go in, verify that what the PO number is, get it into the system, and basically submit the invoice, let it move along the line so that you can start, actually being paid. This is something that in the past could have taken days over email, backwards and forwards, but she's had a quick conversation with Mary to see if she could quickly solve the problem. That didn't work. She used public links, interacted with her supplier, and poof, she has the problem all solved. So that's sort of the basic idea of some of the things we're doing with JD Edwards. And a lot of, we talked about the logistics cloud making it so that you can store all your attachments. Maybe you've got shipping documentation that's wrong, and you need to send it out to somebody and say, hey, you forgot to fill in this waybill or whatever. So the same kind of patterns you saw here for JD Edwards, you can imagine being of benefits to the logistics cloud users as well. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about roadmap. We'll finish off the hour with a little bit about some roadmap items. Reminder about the safe harbor statement. Groups. Someone asked about groups. Yes, coming soon. And there's a reason I made it the first slide. It is really coming soon. You'll be able to create private and public groups. You'll be able to share folders with groups, add groups to conversations. When you're securing a site, you could use a group. So you could create a group for your team and then just keep reusing that group instead of having to type in the 9 people that are in your team over and over and over again. Later, that'll be the first thing to come. Share with all users, kind of like a share an all users group kind of thing is also coming. So if you wanted to make a conversation public, maybe you've got a feedback conversation that you want everyone, all the employees within your organization to be able to see and join if they feel like posting feedback. So if you've ever used the Oracle Social Network, it supports public conversation. So that kind of capability is coming, public folders, public collections, that sort of thing. On the web side, all that group support we just talked about, that ability to create groups, manage your groups, edit your groups will all be available through the web UI, and then you'll be able to use those groups on web, in mobile, in desktop. We're going to be simplifying sharing. We're trying to make it so that you click on a share icon and you're done. Public links created, it's mailed out. Like, we're trying to make it so that the number of clicks you need to do to share anything is super simplified. And so the distinction between sharing by link and actually sharing with other users in the system through membership is much more clear. Improvements to search are coming. Type ahead search is coming. Quicker search results is coming. Just generally making it so that you can filter the results that you get back and fine-tune down to what you're actually looking for. So be looking for that. And just generally improvements in terms of how much time it takes to list a huge folder listing with a lot of folders on login. I'm sure there's times when you've brought up things like the properties dialog and it kind of delays a couple seconds, then poof, it shows up. So there's a whole bunch of performance improvements that we're working on that I think people are going to find, they're really going to find sort of the instant reaction of the web UI a lot nicer. On the mobile side, full support for annotations. We've allowed you to annotate documents for quite some time. We just talked about the HTML5 preview in the web and how all the annotations have been redone to support the HTML5. That's all coming to mobile. You've never been able to see your annotations or add your own annotations right from your iPad or your smartphone. That's all coming. These are live snapshots of actual work in progress that's working. So being able to comment on your slides, reply to comments, all directly from your mobile device. There's some other improvements, just from an Office 365 perspective, we already let you do editing with the mobile Office apps, but we're going to be making sort of the flow a little simpler, making it so that you can trigger that edit directly from our app. Some new push notifications. Right now the push notifications are all about social events. We're adding sort of notifications for content events. And just basically tying into some of the mobile capabilities, sort of from a mobile platform's perspective. So being able to type in Glacier and getting back a picture from us, an article from WordPress, websites. So basically using Spotlight or Google Search. So tying into the native search, or someone sends me a message saying, hey, I need the latest spec, and being able to find that spec and send a link and with a thumbnail back out directly from messaging apps without having to sort of move out of the messaging app. So just tying in generally to the overall mobile experience. Desktop, for those of you who maybe have more complicated proxy server setups on your desktop, right now the desktop client uses whatever sort of system settings are set for proxy. But if you're using sort of like an authenticated proxy, Kerberos or whatever, like a digest of some sort, that doesn't work. But we've added in the capability so that if you are using one of these more advanced proxy setups, you can provide your credentials so that we can get outside your firewall and make sure the sync works properly. Brand new Springboard. So when you right-click on our system tray icon, if you right-click, you'll get the old menu. If you left-click, you'll get this new Springboard. It'll give you more information about what exactly is being synced right now, and it sort of provide you with easier ways of understanding what's going on. Sometimes it's sort of, there's this little icon spinning, but you're not sure what's going on. This Springboard will give you a lot more information to sort of feedback and understand what's ongoing. And from a performance perspective, huge improvements in terms of the way in which we take a file and we chunk it up into pieces. If you've got a really large file over 5 gigabytes, that's super important because there's no more timeouts that are going to be happening because you're basically only syncing these little chunks and then going to the next one. And there's a huge efficiency and huge performance improvements coming from that. And if you were syncing a huge file and you turned off your laptop, next time around you would have had to start all over again. Right now, with this new improvement, it'll just pick up where it left off. So there's huge improvements from a performance perspective coming in desktop. Digital asset management, we're going to be adding some capability to automatically extract EXIF capabilities. Rendition management, so if you upload a MOV file, we can automatically generate like an MP4 file. So if you're trying to stream it through our web UI, you can now stream file formats that you probably couldn't do in the past. Sorry I'm going quick, but we're running out of time. And then Igor's got some interesting things coming from the experience side as well. Igor?
Talking to mute. Hi, Mark. Yeah, I'll be brief as well. So really what we are continuing to do is really enhancing our capabilities of publishing content to multiple channels through our content delivery API. So we will be adding the ability to create publishing channels, not only publishing type of the publishing channel that we have today, which is really a pool type of a channel whereby you can access digital assets or content items that you published via a URL. We also will support the ability to push content to various sources. And once kind of you publish items one way or another, we will enable you to register webhooks so that, for example, your external application gets notification about updates or new content being published and so on. Next slide, please. Related to the multi-channel content publishing is the content kind of targeting and personalization that we are working on. And we are working on providing this capability together with the Maximizer team and also planning to leverage some other kind of analytics capabilities provided by them. Next slide, please. And last but not the least, so I was talking about the multi-channel publishing. What also we're planning to do is to enable you reuse content that might be residing somewhere else outside the content cloud in your editorial content and your structured content. So this externally stored, externally, if you wish, managed content would appear as what we call proxied asset, and you will be able to use the proxied assets in pretty much the same way submit for approval, for example, or using your content items like you do kind of native, or if you wish, assets that are natively stored in the content cloud. So all this will facilitate like our capabilities of, first of all, kind of aggregating content, reusing content, and then in editorial, kind of in the content items, and then publishing it through multiple channels. That's all from me. I think we are spot on time.
Just made it. But I don't mind staying on the line a little longer, Noel. Maybe there's some more questions.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there is 4 questions. So maybe otherwise I will send you and copy the requester. So do we have option to create custom roles as against groups? Yeah, as you mentioned, groups at the beginning.
Not today. We are planning to use custom roles to manage access to the content items, for example, based on a type. So the custom role will take into account, will allow, for example, you to limit users who can see or edit content items of a certain type.
Okay. Will the new search improvement allow users to narrow search results down by metadata tags?
Yeah, that's something we're exploring. What are the different filters and facets that you can use to drill down? Yeah.
Okay. Are there any limitation to file size support in content?
File size support?
Yeah, do you have a limitation on the file size?
Mark, I suppose you need to start with the storage and then go to files, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely limitations on the amount of storage you're allowed to use. But in terms of file size, for example, if you try to sync a file that's over 5 gigs from your desktop, you're probably going to run into problems. The roadmap item that I talked about for chunked uploads and chunked downloads actually will resolve that. So if you want to be able to sync files that are larger than 5 gigs, it'll start working. If you drag and drop a 10 gig file into your browser and expect the upload to finish, I mean, it's not a limitation that our storage service won't allow it. It's just your web UI is going to time, the HTTP request is going to time out. So the desktop is really, for really large files, you really want to use the desktop, and the chunked uploads and downloads that I just mentioned in the roadmap, which is coming very soon, will really take care of that current limitation that sometimes it goes through, sometimes it doesn't. So this will make sure that it's far more efficient, that that whole 5 gigs is going to go through and sync.
Okay. Do we have an option to embed an image or image of the digital asset folder onto a public site? So outside CEC, outside content and experience.
Yes, you can use Sites SDK to do it, or you can directly use image URL.
The digital assets folder that everybody gets is a normal folder. So if you technically wanted to create a public link.
No, it's not really that. It's one kind of. So in order to embed some image or something, add image to an external site, you really need to to publish this image through the Content Delivery API, and then use URL that you will get after image is published to embed it into your kind of external site, because that's really the solution that scales.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
Is there any planning to include ABCS component?
Yes, we are working to, well, first of all, actually, to be clear, you can add ABCS component to a site's page today, and we have many examples of doing so. So if you don't know how to do it, just reach out to us, we'll explain it to you. What we are also adding is ability to introspect applications created in ABCS, and then automatically create a component out of the selected application, ABCS. By the way, it is VBCS now.
Okay. So the other question is the availability of the presentation. So internally, we are going to publish it on our DX site. And for all our partner online, we are going to publish it on the public site folder. So I'm going to email blast this URL and passcode. I think there is no more question. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Igor, for this presentation, and talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Bye.
Bye-bye.